all this Gen AI interaction with the ChatGPT and Copilot, is there a downside to it? A survey study from, I think, 1918, Carnegie Foundation study, which says that 85% of the job success comes from the soft skills. Technical skills, only 15%. One day you will be only left with AI tools with no people to bring in the human connect. In that case, what are you going to do? CodeTutor here, and my name is Anil Deshpande. Hi everyone. Recently I had done a survey on my YouTube channel. It was pretty much similar on LinkedIn profile as well. The survey question was like, whenever you are learning any new skill, how do you approach it? What are the different methodologies that you apply? The options were, do you use books and courses, or do you really get into hands-on using the projects and case studies, or you talk to people, you get into group study, take the help of your mentors, or the last option, which is nowadays very prevalent, which is Gen AI. And this was what the response was like. Overall, the similarities were there, but the one thing that really caught my attention was third option, which was human interaction. So this really got me thinking, all this Gen AI interaction with the ChatGPT and Copilot, is there a downside to it? And what are the costs that our developers are paying by using these kind of tools? Of course, we can say that it is doing a lot of productivity upgradation for the developers and the companies and the organizations, but I'm pretty sure there is something that is going wrong which is not quite apparent. So let's rewind a bit. What used to happen in the pre-internet days? You had to study the books, you had to go through the documentation, you have to understand the nooks and corners of the whole framework, the languages and everything. And then what? You used to apply whatever that you had created a mental map of in your head. And either you knew something or you didn't know something. And if you did not know something, you either used to ask one or the other senior people who were already little bit long in the game. And then the internet came, the Google came, the Stack Overflow came, but still the human interaction did not stop. Even though you did Google a lot of problems or bugs that you might have encountered, typically you would have started searching for it and you would have got around 4 or 5 different articles explaining how to do it, maybe 3 or 4 different kinds of Stack Overflow posts, and then you would have tried a couple of those. Maybe most of them did not work out, and maybe last 2-3 work out, and not in a perfect way. Then there was always a constant struggle to basically figure out why it is not working and then try to refine it and then finally get a solution that basically worked for you. So what is happening is, when you are trying to solve a problem with this particular approach, you are not handed a solution ready to eat. It's not spoon fed. There is a lot of process that is going on. You not only read the things that might work, you actually read a lot of things which don't work. You might discuss a lot of things which are not working. And that leads to a situation wherein maybe out of 100 things that you have read and come across while trying to solve this particular problem, 80% of it is a residue, which is not really applicable right now, but sometime in the future, you still remember it unconsciously. And whenever you encounter a similar problem, your brain is able to pick up these threads from these residues and probably are able to connect together and come up with a working solution. And finally, if this did not work out, then you had to talk to people to try to understand how to solve it. Not only that, sometimes you even had to get into a negotiation with the BAs, POs, product owners and people, trying to basically explain your thought process, why something will not work, what are the technical bottlenecks, and almost get into a kind of a design negotiation with the various stakeholders. And then maybe with the to and fro approach, a better solution would have come to the front. But is that happening right now? With ChatGPT and Copilots, more often than not, you search for a thing and you either get a solution, and once you apply it, you immediately see that it works, and we never ask why. And when this happens, that residue part that I am talking about, it is not there. The breadcrumb, the mental breadcrumb that would have been there, it is not at all there. Is this creating a problem of soft skills in the developers? And the reality is, yes, and I'm not talking it based on just my gut feeling. There is actually a study and surveys that indicate this is exactly what is happening. Historically, there is a study from, I think, 1918, Carnegie Foundation study, which says that 85% of the job success comes from the soft skills. Things like communication, teamwork, and problem solving. Technical skills, only 15%. And fast forward to current time, there is a survey study from West Monroe that found that 40% of the business leaders complained that IT teams are struggling with soft skills. They are struggling with the collaboration. They are not complaining about the technical skills. That is perfectly fine. What they are complaining about is the soft skills. Your ability to hold an engaging conversation, ask the right questions, trying to extract the answers from the various stakeholders. How do you negotiate the requirements? Our ability to basically break down the complex problems into simpler questions so that arrival at the solution can be little bit more easier to do. So these are all soft skills, and these skills are getting affected because of the adoption of GenAI. Because what happens with GenAI is you're basically getting the ready to eat food and you don't really get into negotiation. And it has become especially worse due to COVID. I remember when I had joined new companies and the first sprint plan was always awkward. There were strangers, there were people with the different moods, there was a different team dynamic, and even in the same company, each team felt different. The way things were conducted were different. They had insider jokes, people laughed, you did not know what they were laughing about. This is what being human means. Are you able to negotiate these kind of situations, human situations, comfortably and confidently? During the COVID time, it so happened that there were many people who even joined the organization, served there, and even left. And most of the people did not even meet them to see physically in the office space. And this created a situation where there are people who are very comfortable on the keyboard or even a virtual conversation through a team chat or a Zoom call. But when you are trying to interact with them face to face, you don't feel that the conversation is really engaging. You can't blame them. And if companies just start culling the junior developers just because they are not productive, there will come a situation where you will be left with no senior developers who can mentor the junior developers, and the junior developers will be too much uncomfortable with the human skills, the soft skills. And I feel that as time goes by with the adoption of all these Gen AI automation tools, these human skills, the ability to hold an engaging conversation, to do a stakeholder negotiation, to be empathetic, to lead by example, these things will become even more premium skills. I think as a developer, we are already aware that it is important for us to be good at our technical skills. Our technical competency is very, very important. But it is important to note that it is not the only thing that matters if you want to grow in the organization. And especially if companies think that technical skills can be replaced easily with the automation of LLMs and Gen AI tools. And what is it that then developers are bringing to the table other than the coding skills? The soft skills. That's what matters. Recently, I was watching a podcast of a very famous computer scientist, Grady Gooch, the person who basically invented UML. And it was almost 1.5 hour podcast. And I was just listening to how he came up with the concept behind UML and how he interacted with various people, how the idea came about, how he established the organization which made softwares selling the UML. Of course, the guy was brilliant. He must have been brilliant as a coder. There is no doubt about it. But what really even mattered most was his articulation skills, how he was able to basically explain the whole storyline and how much confident he was. Of course, he had to be that much confident. I think these skills or these kind of skills are going to matter a lot. It was very clear from the conversation that I was hearing from that particular person that His success did not only depend on his coding skills or his technical skills. What was also equally important, if not more, was his soft skills. And how much of his career was shaped by the interactions that he has had with various people, and he has collaborated with them, and how he created something unique and original by using those interactions. And I think it is these skills that are going to become more critical as the time goes by. I think as a developers, we also have to start paying attention to these things, especially because in our times, the human interaction is getting reduced. We have to come up with mechanisms to intentionally make our work such that there is more human interaction. That is one thing. And then there is also a message for the companies and the organizations which only think in terms of the productivity. One day you will be only left with AI tools with no people to bring in the human connect. In that case, what are you going to do? One day all the senior developers are going to retire. You will have to have people who are not only technically competent, but also exhibiting much needed human skills. Also, let me know whether this resonates with you, and also do comment what you folks are doing about it. Do you see these bottlenecks in your day-to-day lives as a professional coder? And if you do, then what can be done to address these bottlenecks? Thanks for your time. That brings us to the end of this particular video. Don't forget to like, comment, share the video and subscribe to the channel. Take care. Bye.